made it to Friday, folks. We're on the way to the weekend here, so might be a well-deserved break for some of you. For others, you're still on the grind. Much respect to you. I can relate. But we're here to talk about the weather, and we have quite a bit going on for this weekend. So much so that I'm actually not going to talk about the tropics in this video because we have plenty of severe weather to talk about, especially around the the north central, north central plains or high plains as we call it. So we'll go ahead and get right into that. We have some ongoing severe weather right now. We still have a severe thunderstorm watch in effect for another couple of hours, I would say. We do have a line of ongoing storms. They are starting to weaken and probably will be going below severe limits within the next hour or so, I would say. It hasn't been super active. I mean, there's only been a handful of wind and hail reports combined to about maybe 10 reports total, which is always good news, but we are getting to that time of year where the severe weather threat starts to pick back up just slightly. So now that we know that, and we see these two slight risk areas for tomorrow and Sunday, we're gonna go ahead and talk about those a little bit. Okay, so here are two slight risk areas for Saturday. And we have both central Illinois and central Minnesota in play for our slight risk regions, but we cannot rule out the city of Minneapolis, across Wisconsin, and then of course we have areas of Missouri, Kansas, and Wisconsin in play. Maybe even a piece of the Dakotas involved as well, albeit an almost micro-sized piece. We'll look at the hazard types, and we do have a tornado threat, a minimal one. It's only 2%, but it's not zero. So you have to take take it moderately seriously. Tornado warning gets issued. Just make sure you have a plan, you know what to do. Biggest threats with this will of course be wind and hail. There seems to be when I was looking at the models for this earlier, I saw a good bit of a lapse rate. I saw some pretty sufficient lapse rates and a decent amount of low level shear. So I do think there's some pretty solid validity to this. We also can take a quick look at the synopsis here. 40 knot jet possible, and tornado or two may occur. There you go. So that's Saturday. We'll take a look at Sunday. Of course, when we get to the day 3 outlook for the SPC, we don't get a look at the particular hazard types, but we can also look at the synopsis to get an idea of what we could be dealing with. Of course, we'll be going over the parameters in just a moment here, but we look at tomorrow. We have a slight risk that's centered mainly between northern Missouri, southern and southeastern Iowa, and then I would say about north central Illinois. This also includes the city of Peoria. So we'll have to watch that and see what it does, but we can't rule out areas like Milwaukee, Chicago. You guys could have some severe storms. Springfield and Hannibal. Don't think you're out of this entirely either, as well as Jefferson City and Kansas City. Omaha and Lincoln, you guys too, as well as Des Moines for a second day in a row. So we'll take a quick look at the synopsis here. Once again, low level shear, 35 to 45 knots, and then pretty stacked cape environment. I mentioned in yesterday's video, links in the top right hand corner by the way, that about 1,000 to 1,500 joules per kilogram is going to be what's needed to spark some severe storms. This time we're almost doubling that amount, so confidence is pretty high. I don't think this will be up to a enhanced risk or anything beyond that. I think we're going to just end up staying where we're at. But the fact of the matter is that we definitely have pretty sufficient environment for severe weather on Sunday particularly. It'll be interesting to see how things progress with that. So let's go ahead and take a look at some parameters. Of course, we'll start out with temperatures, and we're covering the entire country with this first. So we'll start out by just running the loop here. So what we can see right now, things still look like they're going to be warm for the majority of the country. Maybe a little bit further towards the west, we have a little bit of a trough settling in here, and as a result, we can see some cooler than average temperatures here. But for most of the country for the rest of the month, and I mentioned this in my climate video a few days ago, link will also be in the corner for that, we're going to be expecting some much warmer than average temperatures for a large part of the country. So now that we've mentioned that, we can look towards our severe weather region, and these temperatures are definitely going to be hitting towards the 80s and the 90s. So there's no real surprise there. One of the real key factors that I'm interested in looking at is something like the dew points, and we'll just kind of go beyond that. We'll click that real quick and let that load while we look at the low-level jet here, if it'll work. Uh-oh. Computer might need an update, so this could turn into a problem here. This is what I get for using Pivotal sometimes. My computer just does not like running Pivotal. Anything else will work just fine, but this computer just does not like Pivotal at all. Alright, so now that we're on to the wind map here, let's go ahead and get set up for tomorrow. And you can see our upper level low right here spinning up, causing some, and this is what will be causing our severe weather. Right around here, this is where we're getting towards that 40 to 45 knot mark. And this is a key component right here for setting off some storms, maybe even a quick spin up. This works its way in, I'd say, about maybe 2-3 o'clock. And I think by almost 7-8 o'clock-ish, that's when the severe threat really starts to pick up here, especially damaging winds. This definitely has the look of speed shear more so than directional shear. I think with directional shear, that's where the threat of tornadoes would really start to increase, but it doesn't look like we really have that. This low-level jet really starts to get itself going towards the late evening and overnight hours. We're starting to see even values pushing towards 50 plus as far as knots are concerned, which is essentially about maybe 60 miles an hour, maybe a little bit more. I'm not great with calculating it, with converting knots into miles per hour, so forgive me if that estimation was wrong. But we'll go ahead and keep moving forward here. And it looks like the low-level jet kind of becomes a little bit more subdued until we get into the overnight hours. And then, we see in yet another area where we're pushing over 50 yet again. I think this area is maybe a little bit further west than what the slight risk is, so it may need to be expanded. But I think as time goes on, this area does kind of push a little bit further to the east. So it'll be interesting to see how things flow from that point. So we push all the way to Monday morning, and we'll just go from there. So let's go ahead and jump back to the dew point towards our dew point map, and we'll look at our severe weather areas. Fortunately, it looks like for all of us in the southeast, by the way, that our dew points will be back on the rise, unfortunately. Oh man. Yeah, we're still getting into the 50s and 60s over there. Meanwhile, our severe weather area and areas to the south, we're definitely going to be in some sufficient territory. We're getting into the low to up to mid 60s. Some places may even go up to upper 60s. And then when we get into Sunday, yeah, those values get into the 70s. So I do think Sunday could be a more significant day. We'll have to see how things unfold with it. But stage definitely looks like the stage is definitely being set for a bigger severe weather outbreak in the near future. Be interesting to see how things go from that point. Alright, we'll load this map and then we'll go to the mixed layer cape. And we'll even look at the lapse rates real quick before we go on to something else. Alright, so here's our mixed layer. Mainly just looking for the 3,000 to 4,000 joules that they were talking about in the last video. Not in the last video that the Storm Prediction Center was talking about. Having little brain farts here and there. But it looks like there is some validity to that. We're getting right around that 2,500 joules mark. Definitely insufficient. And there we go. There it is right there. If I go back about maybe an hour or two, you can kind of see that little sliver right there towards far eastern Nebraska, where we have that increased cape value. And this is right about 7-8 o'clock, so this is right on schedule with the synopsis here, right on schedule, my prediction. And then we go into Sunday afternoon into Sunday evening. Those cape values start to spike yet again. Values kind of spike a little bit further to the west though too, which I find kind of interesting. So we'll have to watch and see how the models play that out. So that being said, there's not really too much else to look at here. We'll go ahead and take a look at the radar map for the entire country, and we'll wrap things up from that point. We already know the severe weather threat here. For the most part, I think the rest of the country is going to be pretty quiet. Florida might have some pop-up showers and thunderstorms. Here comes our next upper level low here, and there's more to that story in the next video, because there are some, like I said, there's some very interesting parameters as to that are kind of foretelling for not only what happens with Fiona, but with our storm track over the next week or so. But beyond that, it looks relatively quiet. Maybe the Sierra Mountains might get some additional rain, maybe even some snow. But other than that, we're gonna be pretty quiet in a lot of areas. That's it for the video for now. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, leave me a like. Appreciate that a bunch. Anything I can do better or anything that you particularly enjoyed, drop me a comment. But other than that, that's really all I got for you. Stay tuned for the hurricane video, which should be coming up in a few hours. But until then, this has been Tire Metalhead Weatherman. Have a good night, you guys.